Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at a new Battle Pass vehicle for the next Battle Pass, and this is actually for Italy, surprisingly. It's the MC485. This is going to be a rank 3 Italian premium for the coastal tech tree, which is going to be really nice. It may be similar to what you've seen before though in other nations, which isn't too surprising, but what this does mean is it will be a nice grinder for Italy where you can, kind of get through the tech tree and get to those high tier missiles, which are on some of the vehicles. Italy's got some pretty nice event vehicles in the past, and this one should be pretty decent, if not that unique. Let's get into the history of the vehicle. In 1952, during a small fleet rearmament program, Italy purchased a former German S-38 series torpedo boat, which was sold to a private owner in 1947 and used as a cargo boat. The boat was ordered in August of 1940 from the shipyards of the Bremen-based Lürsen Company as an upgraded S-38 project equipped with an armoured cabin casing, or calotte. The E-boat, with a hull number S-67, was involved in intense actions for the Kriegsmarine in the North Sea, especially in the English Channel, where she was engaged in mining missions and hunting British convoys. The boat also visited the Baltic Sea, where she took part in exercises and military operations against the USSR in the Gulf of Finland. At the end of the war, the S-67 was captured by the Allies and then sold to a commercial operator for cargo purposes. In Italian service, the boat received updated armament of a pair of 40mm Bofors autocannons, new torpedo equipment, and a navigational radar. In service with the Regia Marina, the boat received the designation MC485 and served in the waters of the Ionian and Adriatic Seas, participating in numerous exercises. The boat was finally decommissioned from service only in 1966 due to significant wear and tear, which affected the performance of the MC485. So in the last Battle Pass we had the S701, and in this Battle Pass we have, of course, a new MC485. The S701 was pretty cool because you could fire torpedoes backwards, kind of catching a lot of people out, which kind of thought that you were running away. With the MC485, it's a much more standard S-boat. It's just going to be in a different tech tree, the Italian coastal one instead of the German one. And to be honest, the Italian coastal tech tree is not exactly the best. There's a few vehicles with decent armaments in them, but I would say that they are overshadowed by a lot of other nations, which have a ton of pretty cool vehicles across the place. So for me, when I look at something like this MC485, I see it as an opportunity to be able to skip a lot of the coastal vehicles that the Italians have to be able to get access to the higher tier ones, which are actually pretty good. Such as, of course, the one with the missiles, which I have, but it's kind of hard to grind, the Saeta, because, you have to get to rank 2 for the missiles, but that's more of an issue with that vehicle instead of, or the issue with the grind instead of the vehicle, sorry. The MC485 can also give you a vehicle to run with some of your destroyers, so if you haven't ground out any of your coastal stuff, you can run it and try and get some caps either at the start of the game or the end of the game if you need to kind of, do that, if you need to actually push forward to win a battle. It does also get kind of a nice camouflage. It's a tricolor one with some turquoise elements, which looks fantastic. I've seen a few of these more recently, and I'm a pretty big fan. And looking at the overall differences between this type of boat and the standard German ones, you have 2 Bofors on this thing, 2 single Bofors, which should be pretty good. And then also you have, of course, the navigation radar, which I don't think will be that useful for the vehicle. One of the problems I do see with this MC485 though is both of the guns are mounted on the back of it. Now this isn't a huge problem, but it usually means the firing angles on it aren't going to be the best. There's a few Japanese boats which have this similar issue where you have to turn tail and run to get your guns on target, which is not great. And it also means that if you're going towards a target, all you really have for offensive armament is, of course, the torpedoes. I don't like it when you have 2 sets of weapons weaponry and they don't match up with each other, meaning that you can only use one in certain scenarios and only use the other in the other ones, especially when you're comparing torpedoes and guns, because the torpedoes, even though they're nice against stuff like destroyers and things like that, they are not going to be great against other echelons of the game, where the bofers are going to be good, but you're going to have to turn the whole vehicle to get access to, hitting them. It's going to be a bit of a pain. Also, these vehicles are not survivable. That's probably one of the harshest things that you learn when you play stuff like the S100, the S38, and the S701. The amount of time that you have in the combat area before you get absolutely hammered is a very small amount of time. So you either have to jump on an enemy, or you have to be like the first one to engage, or, you have to make sure that you do as much damage in such a small time possible, because you're not going to be able to last for very long. And with a machine like this and the way that the guns are set up, that might not be possible unless you kind of hide behind a rock and then reverse out to be able to use the guns on machines, which you can definitely do and hope to not get ammo racked. One of the big issues with some of the S100s is actually the 30mm in the front of it, though, has a very low ammo count before reload, and also what would happen with the vehicle a lot is with the 30mm, it would end up just getting ammo racked. So the fact that this vehicle doesn't have that in the front gives it a little bit of extra survivability, but we're talking about a very small amount for the vehicle itself. Another thing is just really nice to see Italy in a battle pass. The minor nations in War Thunder, most of the battle pass vehicles that they've got, if not all, have been pretty much copy-paste stuff, apart from like the M64 for China. And I know a lot of people look down on that, but at the end of the day, if you see the battle pass as a way to kind of increase or enhance your lineups as you go along, instead of seeing them as unique stuff, this is an overall positive for the general tech tree. For me, when I look at something like this, what I see is an opportunity to grind out a lot of the Italian tech tree in the hopes that a bunch more stuff gets added to the tech tree to make it a little bit more fun. And with the talk of, different nations being added to Italy to try and bolster them because of their struggles, especially in ground and naval, why not add another vehicle that if you can grind and also do a lot of battle pass challenges with, and also events with, because it's a rank 3, and also dailies and specials, why see it as kind of a negative? The only negative I can see from this vehicle is that people will, kind of curse the fact it's not a blue water vehicle, or that it is for Italy itself. But as somebody who's played, a lot of this similar types of vehicles, the S38s, the S100s of the world and so on, they're not bad vehicles. They just don't survive very long. So you just have to have a high impact in a small amount of time, and stuff like that comes from experience. I'm happy to see this one. Nice to see some Italian representation. Hopefully the next two vehicles are not too bad either, and we can get some little changes to this battle pass, such as maybe the challenges being available for different people at different times. So therefore you have a situation where people aren't, always grinding the same challenges, therefore kind of screwing up the matchmaking. That was from SK Gunslinger, and I really like that idea. Hopefully it comes in the future. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Millie Draper, Juan the Panda, Nick R. Kupila, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie B. Young, Peter Grayling, Jerry Provolt, Bareen, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, Derek R. and Lafouche for supporting the channel.